LeBron James.
Scream if you love.
Soul Reaver.
Hey, Victus!
Sup, you exquisite misbegottens. Must once again direct your attention to the fact that this is one of the many videos in this series. So if you're new here, click the upper right link. In the aftermath of our little soft-soaping of Moebius, the Time streamer has cooperatively thrown us into the age where Seraphin's stronghold has turned into shambles. Ariel appears a century after the pillars have collapsed. Kain's decision not to sacrifice himself has led to the destruction of the balance, thus inviting demons to come into this unstable world. If we would talk about it from the gameplay standpoint, the aforementioned demons are incredibly annoying. I know that almost everything in Soul Reaver is used as a narrative instrument, and here the demons had to be shown as the menace they actually were. But damn, being killed by a few attacks, not to mention that the AI here doesn't shy away from ganging you up and spamming the most efficient ones, this ain't something I'd enjoy. Anyway, per usual, I like the continuity being held here, with the designs and elemental powers of many monsters being taken from the first Blood Omen. Their ominous presence was reflected 100% as well. I was shitting myself the time I had to play this section as a kid, especially when they were whispering Raisy's name. By this time, almost all of the vampires, excluding Yellow Daddy, were annihilated. This is directly communicated by Moebius with the head of Wardor immortalized in stone. Yet, the question of otherworldly entities in the world of humans still stayed. So the mercenaries of the Time streamer have adapted to their more imposing enemies, becoming more massive and imposing themselves. I love their small redesign and how the devs have shown the new adapted nature of the now not vampire but demon hunters, not only in how they look, but also in how they move. They block more often, have much more damage, but are slow and stoky. I might never know the utility of this giant bell going near their necks, but still the new updated look looks dope. A compromise between middle-age appearance of the old vampire hunters and more steampunk vampire hunters from Soul Reaver 1. Reflecting on the treachery of Moebius, what did you expect? And propelling onward to our destiny of meeting Janus Ordren, we surprisingly meet the Time Guardian himself, yet in more, let's say, transparent form.
Raziel.
What pathetic charade is this now, Moebius?
No charade, Raziel. Only the entreaties of this martyr spirit.
Your pleas mean nothing to me after all your deceit. You have propelled me into Nosgoth's future, Moebius, and left me stranded here.
I am truly sorry, Raziel, but it was necessary. Consider it the last valiant act of a doomed man. You have strayed from your purpose, and now behold the result. Gaze upon the wasteland you and Kain authored together.
I fail to see how I'm responsible.
You spared Kain, and by doing so, you have released a multitude of horrors upon this world. I can accept that Kain has murdered me, as the Time Guardian. I foresaw that incident long before it occurred, and I take some small comfort in the fact that Kain remains the sole survivor of his vile breed. But you have single-handedly made my sacrifice meaningless.
Your argument is disingenuous, Time Streamer. I cannot see how killing or sparing Kain's future self would alter these events. This wasteland was created by Kain's original refusal at the Pillars. And amidst all these twists and turns, that event has never changed. You are cunning, Moebius. I think you've gotten tangled in your own web.
As Kain clings to his precious seat of power, the pillars sink into a mire of decay, dragging all of Nosgoth down with them.
I don't think this has anything to do with the Pillars, or Kain's failure to sacrifice himself. I think you're simply afraid, because you don't know what he's up to. He's a wild card, isn't he? And you don't want his influence in your game. Which is why you wanted me to eliminate him. Well, now that he survived, you have no idea what's coming, do you? Maybe, for the first time in your entire life, you're terrified that he may have truly found a third option out of the dilemma you orchestrated for him.
Kain's lies have addled your mind. Leave this place and trouble my spirit no more.
If you even are a spirit. You've forgotten. I have a way to tell for sure. If you're willing to risk it. I didn't think so. Either way, you lose.
My reaction to this cutscene was, finally, hell yeah! You might have noticed as we move forward through this series of games that Raziel's critical thinking becomes sharper and sharper. Not only he connected the dots and so through the Moebius's facts manipulation, but our blue debater led him to such a degree of desperation where even his denial and expressive backlash was countered and he was even made to cowardly flee.
I didn't think so.
My boy is growing before my own eyes, hell yeah. Finally, the Stanislavski's gun in the form of the Block Mountain Passage shoots, and Razi, reminiscent of it, goes through yet another section of leaving the Seraphim Keep and moving to the Pillars of Nosgoth. Must say it's not the most engaging part of the game at all. The barriers imposed by the overpowered demons irritate tremendously. I have even come up with a tactic that would fit any musketeer. And a small addition, I adore the doggy redesign of demon hunters. They are just as their masters, much stronger and bigger, yet much slower, which allowed me to spare them even more conveniently. After another one of the badass door openings, we encounter yet another transparent old friend. So let me cut off my blabbering for now.
These were the pillars so familiar to my blighted eyes. But now that I had begun to learn their true significance, I regarded the pillars' destruction with a new, enlightened sense of horror. And I questioned now whether Kain's simple refusal, his mere ambition, could truly have caused such devastation. I felt that some darker influence was at work here. As I approached, I discerned the spirit of Ariel, bound here now for more than a century.
Forever am I bound, hope abandoned, my spirit tethered to this place.
Women.
What destroyed the circle could not touch me, for I was newly dead and beyond harm's reach. I alone was spared the descent into madness, and Kain alone was spared the pain of death. When Nepraptor's poison seized Kain even in the safety of the womb, much more than just his destiny was lost. All of Nosgoth lost balance. Consider us now, both of us less than we once were. I, pure but insubstantial, and Kain, terribly real, but corrupted.
Your imprisonment here has deranged you, Spirit. You fixate on Kain because you believe he is the tether that binds you here. But we both know he is not the author of your agony. The pillars were subverted by dark forces, invited by the Guardians themselves. The more I learn of your circle, the more I see a tangle of nested manipulations.
Kain handed them their victory. They sought to topple the pillars, and he was their willing instrument.
Or was he their unwilling pawn? Would it blunt your wrath to know that Kain's dilemma was calculated to bring the pillars down, regardless of the choice he made? And that the devastation would have been even greater had he chosen the path you would prescribe for him?
You are a subtle, deceitful creature. But your clever arguments do not absolve Kain. He must die for the pillars to be restored. There is no other way.
Then consider this more ominous possibility. What if Kain's death does not restore the pillars? Consider that it may simply be too late, that this world may be beyond redemption, and that you may be bound here eternally.
Why do you hound me, demon? You can see that I am captive here. Show me some mercy.
Like the mercy you showed your fellow Guardians when you set Kain on them? Or the mercy you showed Kain when you kept him ignorant of his destiny while you used him as the scourge of the Circle? Or perhaps like the mercy you showed your beloved Naprapta when you made him Kain's first kill?
You are cruel. Why do you torment me?
I'm merely looking for answers, Ariel. Very well. I'll leave you in peace. But know this about you and this purgatory from which you long to escape. You're merely at the threshold.
Damn, I think our blue boy has entered his no bullshit era as well. With the info that was given to him by Kain and partially encountered all over Nosgoth, Raziel dismantles the mantra that was chanted through the whole beginning of the game. He puts the malevolent things that were done by the characters of the previous games up, making them seem not as pure as some of them would be perceived in the First Blood Omen, for example. Our Soul Eater plays with moral relativism once again, but this time not to blame, but to make people doubt, and to protect himself from manipulations in the first place. And this here.
But know this about you and this purgatory from which you long to escape. You're merely at the threshold.
This was straight up devious. Shadow the Hedgehog vibes intensify. No crows near the place of our many-tentacled friend made me a touch sad. But
Redondo.
Entering the place, which usually stayed vacant only for Mr. Sashimi and the brown noise guys, we encounter the alien demon guys as well. I think it was made so as a nod to the involvement of the giant squid in this extraterrestrial invasion. Now our edgy, angry and more straightforward Wraith meets his literally very old friend at the top of his no bullshit position. And I find this back and forth very, very entertaining.
Raziel, the failed assassin. You had Kain at your mercy, but lacked the courage to fulfill the act. And now you see the wasteland wrought by the tyrant's hand, by his selfish decision to preserve his own life, even when it meant sacrificing the whole world. This is the fate of Nosgoth, as long as Kain remains alive.
An ironic condemnation, given this guilty sin. One would think you'd torn down the pillars single-handedly. What are you trying to obliterate as you drag your loathsome body through this chamber? And why, as Nosgoth descends into madness and misery, do you appear to thrive? Things in this world, I am learning, are rarely what they seem. You, apparently, are no exception.
I am the engine of life, the source of Nosgoth's very existence. I am the hub of the wheel, the origin of all life, the devourer of death.
Or maybe you're just hungry. Could it be as simple as that? Wouldn't that be poetic irony? The great adversary of the vampires turns out to be the biggest parasite of them all.
Do not test my patience, Ariel. I made you, and I will unmake you if I become so inclined.
As your agent, I am beyond death.
There are fates worse than death, Ariel.
Oh, I see you now as you truly are. A cancer. A spooling parasite burrowed deep in the heart of this world.
Go now. Play out your pitiful rebellion and take your place among the destroyed, the used, and the damned. But know this. You are mine for eternity. You have always been, and will always be, my soul Reaver.
Wasn't that just romantic? Throughout all of his monologue, Ariel touches upon things that I was covering in another video, upper right corner, and perceives the Elder God as he really is. A cancer. Maybe he's not, who knows. Yet anyway, we've just insulted the thing that most likely has given us immortality. Maybe not the smartest decision, but whatever. Ariel has enough Shadow the Hedgehog in him to do even that. We go through the ruins of vampire civilization yet again. The halls that looked suspiciously interactable in the past find their use in this time, and we finally emerge in the swamps, where Razy met our green friend for the first time. Another Stanislavski's gun shoots in the form of one more of Moebius's time-traveling chambers. And maybe the answer to opening this chamber lays in the mountains of Nosgoth. The swamp itself is inhabited by the demon hunters and apparently redditors. There are not many things to do, considering that the door to the Dark Forge is closed, so we move upwards. There we can observe a canyon with many beautiful sights. I always loved the fact that Soul Reaver encompasses so many places and architectural styles, despite the color palette of the games being quite pale and non-vibrant. And if we are talking about the visual effects, I can't stay silent about the rain effect in this game. I know it's nothing out of ordinary, but when I was little, this effect alone made this bleak future seem even more bleaker and somehow picturesque. Going deeper into the canyons, we enter the first and only village in this game, allegedly being terrorized by Janos Audron, where even Kain in the First Blood Omen reminds us of it.
In my travels I learned much about the legend of Janos Audron. Here in this quaint pastoral village of Ustenheim, that dark enemy was born. Janos preyed upon its peasants until he was finally hunted down and executed.
The village itself looks pretty sad, but no wonders considering the circumstances. And to be honest, there is not much to do here. Yet the layout is looking very detailed, so it's a very cool decoration. Architecturally speaking, it looks just like any other post-Middle Age village should look like in any fantasy setting. Realistic, but with some small twists and turns in the form of at times unnecessary arcs and overlapping buildings. I mean, I can kinda understand why would you do it at a place like Venice, where water takes up most of the place. Here you could carve deeper into the canyon and make more reliable structures instead of throwing them on one another, but I'm no professional, so I'll just put my nerdy emoji away and carry on. Pressing forward, we finally get to the place where Janos Audron has celebrated his many Christmases, and look who we have here.
Oh no. Every time you turn up, something monumental and terrible happens. I don't think I have the stomach for it.
No drama this time, Braziel.
You are persistent, crossing time like this to follow me. Still waiting for that coin of yours to land on its edge.
I'm biding my time. I see that Moebius has played a little trick on you.
Yes. He clearly doesn't want me to meet this Janos Audron.
Perhaps. Or maybe he merely hoped that it would harden your heart against me, to see this wasteland which I single-handedly wore through.
My heart doesn't need hardening, Kain. If I even suspected that destroying you would make any difference, I would do it this instant.
I knew you'd see through them, Raziel. Janos is indeed the key to your destiny, but you'll need to find your own way back into Nosgoth's past. Make no mistake though, Raziel. You and I are now in great danger. We are irritants here. Malevolent forces are being marshaled to eliminate us.
You talk as though we're allies.
Regardless of your sentiments, Raziel, in their eyes, we are.
Well, they're certainly trying to eliminate you, Kain. There can be no doubt of that. I am assaulted relentlessly with demands for your demise. Whatever it is that you're plotting, they're scared to death of you. As for me, I suspect they made a grave error when they allowed my unique resurrection. I don't think they know how to destroy me.
You mustn't underestimate them, Raziel.
And who exactly is this diabolical they to which we keep referring? If there's some grand conspiracy going on, the right hand doesn't appear to know what the left is doing. Even Moebius seems to be caught out at every turn.
Moebius is a puppet, Raziel. Haven't you realized that yet? That's the sweetest irony in all of this. Nosgoth, great manipulator, is their plaything. But the ones pulling the strings haven't shown their faces yet.
They don't like us unwriting their carefully choreographed history, though, do they?
You must understand, Raziel, we haven't unwritten history, we've merely rewritten. The future flows around our petty actions, finding the path of least resistance, while admitting only the slightest alterations. This is the reshuffling you felt when you refused to kill me. And remember, Raziel, we are irritants in this regard as well. History will not allow the introduction of a paradox.
And if events cannot be reshuffled to accommodate the change?
It is the irritant who's expelled. Bear in mind that this may be exactly the outcome our enemies are trying to provoke. We must tread very carefully.
A story as old as life. Two adversaries join up in a struggle to overcome their enemy. You know, I love that they meet up just like some old homies, setting aside their differences, and as Kain observantly noted,
"No drama this time, Brazier."
the chemistry between them is just adorable in my opinion. Kain has even sincerely laughed during their exchange. Once during the races, seeing him, and second time he laughs off Razy's threats to kill him. Kain sees no enemy in our Reaver of Soul. He put his bet on Razy and was right. No wonder, he knew him for over a millennium. Then they go over their hidden enemies that plot and scheme at every turn. Their whole conversation about these ominous them has a vibe of me and my friends sitting in the kitchen and talking about some great conspiracies. I fucking love this interaction and hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. I know that especially after the last video, I can't really share my opinions on the sound balance, but here Rain, as cool as it is, makes some words getting lost. Just thought I needed to mark that. Moving onward, we get to yet another forge and jump right inside. I don't know about you, but seeing the symbol, as well as this communist dream interior of the place, I thought wholeheartedly that this was a fire forge. Well, who am I to tell? I think we wouldn't attribute colors to genders or elements at this point, so let's just carry on. I like that the main motive of Raziel to get there is, well, I don't really have other things to do anyway. Which is very realistic, but seems a bit out of place in such a narrative-driven story. What can I say about this forge? It's the best one in the game actually. The riddles were not annoying and even kinda entertaining. I wouldn't go in depth with them, but I like the fact that their solving provides us with yet more lore regarding vampires, with them sacrificial altars and bloodstones staring out of the walls. I also stumbled upon a weapon which has the coolest animation in the game as well, so hell yeah, this forge was cool as hell. Per usual, I try to say a few things on the topic of culture and architecture, and apparently here it's the Mesoamerican cultures that are represented. I wouldn't play into uniqueness here and take the passage written by the pros from Legacy of Kain wiki. God bless their souls. The Air Forge consequently has many design elements and features associated with Mesoamerican culture and architecture. These include prominent step and pyramid designs, arched doorways, pictograph, hieroglyph writings, arcane symbols, carved tenon stone heads and skulls, oversized stele carvings, and apparent sacrificial practices. Many of the design elements were inspired by and in some cases directly copied from real-world Mesoamerican designs. At the end of this Mesoamerican flavored adventure, we get yet another upgrade which allows us to use air spitting holes for gliding. You know, the request cut and pouches stage of Moebius, and these gliding things have reminded me of a certain mission from Assassin's Creed 2. But maybe it's just me. Another property of the blade, an ability to completely obliterate slightly cracked walls. Per usual comes a question if an entity that could do things like this wouldn't be able to just drag this thing through, but repeat after me. Gamey game conventions. Don't have anything against it, just thought that this stuff should be made vocal as well. With this surprisingly convenient find, we can get into another time-traveling chamber of Moebius, and you guessed it, time travel. But where the wild machine of Moebius has thrown us to, we will learn in the next video. Thank you guys for staying with me. Please consider leaving your king-size like and commenting your not less king-size opinion. Stay tuned because there is more to come. Love you guys. Have a good one.